mental health is something that we don't talk about enough. In the black community, well, we're massively overrepresented in the mental health institutions, even more so than in the prisons. And again, these are questions we have to ask. Well, why?
You know, but once you get a control and an understanding of who you are, no one can use you against you. No one can ever use your mental illness against you. You've already spoke about it, so what you got?
The biggest point in life to resolve mental health is like giving a fuck about a person.
Where did you get the courage? I got the courage. The 2 words. I care.
It's Chill Will Radio, where connections will be made, advice will be given, jokes will be told, and things will get real. My name is Willis Cooks, and I'm your host. But understand this show is not meant to be used as a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. Enjoy the show, y'all. Yo, what's the deal? Welcome to another fantastic episode of Chill Will Radio. My name is Willis Cooks, where we're talking about everything mental health for us, the black people within the black community. The good, the bad, the ugly, the taboo, the not so ugly, the hard truth, the things that we're not supposed to speak about, but we have to here on this show, we will do. So once again, my name is Willis Cooks. Thank you for everyone that's tuning in, man. Thank you for everyone that's tuning in, man. First and foremost, thank you to those individuals who's tuning in right now. Thank you to those individuals who's going to tune in midway because you got something going on. And thank you to those individuals who's not going to tune in at all, man. Even though you haven't caught on yet, you will catch on eventually. So, good looking. Stepping into the chat room as always, man. If you're here, please, check in. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're there. You ain't got to say much. Just say what's the deal, what's good, what's poppin'. Keep good news. What's the deal, man? I appreciate you, brother. So, as we start the show, topic of today, Black Man's Ego. Black Man's Ego, Black Man's Ego, Black Man's Ego. That's an important topic, man. And before we all get into that, quick little check-in. How am I doing, man? I started a new job this week. The new job at the hospital. As always, you guys know I already work on the psychiatric side. I already work in the mental hospital, work in the psych ward, but this hospital is more so on the medical side, right? So, psychiatric social work, medical social work. Biggest thing, man, that I noticed this week was I seen somebody put a plug on this one dude, man. People in the hospital really don't give a fuck. People in the hospital really don't give a fuck. The doctors, the nurses. I'm more so understanding that all of this is a business, right? You got beds. They got people that need to fill in the beds. It's in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. However, it challenges me, man. It's going to put me into a new field, a new area. I'm listening. I don't know anything they speaking about. The terms, the words that they're using. Fast-paced, cool. Like I said, on the psychiatric side, I'm good. But on the medical side, it's still fresh. It's still new. So, excited about it. Outside of that, the biggest thing that stuck on my brain this week, I don't want to say stress. Well, fuck it, stress, right? Sometimes I feel overwhelmed with a lot of the things that I have going on, and I'm starting to pick up a whole lot more stuff, and I always have to be mindful of the fact that I can't take on more than I can handle, right? Sometimes we think we can do it all, especially myself and co-workers, some of my friends and everybody. We take on everything as if we are Superman. We can handle everything. We got to understand that sometimes it's okay to be like, I can't really take this on. Because what's going to happen is you're going to eventually, tell somebody else you could do something when you don't have the time to do it, when you don't have the space to do it, when you don't even know how to do it, right? So understand that it's okay to sometimes say no when you're feeling stressed and when you're feeling overwhelmed and when you have all of these things going on. It's okay to back off, take a step back and just chill, right? I'm always preaching self-care, but it's funny because the only thing that I do to take care of myself actually is working out, and I feel as if that's the one thing that I need to refuel my system. But I'm starting to feel as if I need something a little bit more, right? I'm starting to feel as if I need that one little extra push, right? That one little extra push, that other thing I can do to possibly refuel my tank, right? Because working out is cool. Working out, I go in there, I get my aggression out, I get my anxiety out, I get everything out that I need to. That's why I go in there and I try to lift heavy fucking weights, right? Because I feel like in my head, it's me pushing against the world. It's me pushing everything that's on my shoulders. As soon as I'm able to get the 2 plates off of my chest, the 3 plates off of my chest, as soon as I'm able to get all that stuff, I'm good. I'm feeling so much better. But it's starting to feel as if that self-care for me is starting to get old, right? Initially, I was just lifting weights so I can get strong. I felt as if I hit that mark. Now I'm lifting weights in order to conquer my anxiety and my stress and all these other things. Now I'm starting to feel as if I need something else. So, as always, find something else that you can do in order to implement within your self-care piece. So that's actually a good segue into the self-care regimen, right? One of the things that's thoroughly important that I encourage everyone, especially those individuals who are feeling overwhelmed, right? Like I was stating, right? This week I felt not extremely overwhelmed, but I felt myself getting to that moment. When we're feeling overwhelmed, it's important to understand that you need to find something that you can control. Find something that you are able to control, right? Because sometimes all the time when we're feeling overwhelmed, right? We completely forget about the stuff that we can't control, or we don't acknowledge the things that we can control, right? We just, I'll put that off to later, right? I need to handle what's most pertinent, right? I need to handle what's most important now. Sometimes what's most important now, you have no control over it. It's not in your, it's not what's meant for you right now to change that, to move that dial, to move that needle. So when you're feeling overwhelmed right now, take a step back and look at what you can control. Find something that you can control. If you gotta wash clothes, go wash your clothes. If you got a dirty room, go clean up your dirty room. If you gotta do some homework, go do some homework. Whatever you need to do, find something, right, to help yourself feel as if you're able to get your life back into control, right? Because when we're feeling overwhelmed, we kind of are losing control of our life. So the one way you are able to get back in control of your life is start to pay attention to the small things that you are able to control. You literally have to find little ways to get shit done, period. So the one main thing that I thoroughly advocate everybody to implement within their self-care life, within their self-care regimen, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling stressed, find something that you can't control and do that one thing. It don't matter how big, it don't matter how small. It doesn't have to be anything that's related to the reason why you're feeling overwhelmed. Like I said, wash those dishes, clean that room, go exercise. I don't know, take a girl out on a date, whatever it is, right? It's not about distracting yourself from the problem, but it's about getting in control so that problem doesn't control you, right? So find something you can control so you can then regain control over your life so you don't have to feel overwhelmed, all right? So, moving forward into the main topic of the show today. I got my main man Terrell back. What's poppin'?
Yeah.
Got my
What up, boy?
My boy Patrick here, man.
Yo.
How you feeling?
Gucci.
Man, first and foremost, thank you both of y'all for actually coming in. Terrell, we already had this schedule, but my man, he came through the studio. He was like, "Oh, I can get on it. All right, bet. What's the deal?" So, what's poppin'?
Let's do it.
How y'all feeling?
Feeling good, brother. How you feeling? Even though you just told us how you feeling. For 15 minutes.
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling, what's the right word outside of feeling good? I'm trying to not say good, I'm feeling confident. That's a weird ass word to say.
It is.
Weird ass word to say because you know this too, but I deal with a lot of lack of confidence, especially when it comes to my voice. You don't know this, but I'm a therapist. Yeah. I'm a therapist. I provide individual therapy. I provide group therapy. I deal with the people that nobody wants to work with. I deal with those individuals who think their blood is like Kool-Aid and aliens abducted them and they finna punch you in your face just because, I don't know, you look like somebody they hate, right? I deal with those type of people, and when I'm running group therapy sessions with them, I still be telling myself like, I don't really know I don't really be knowing what I'm saying at the time or whatever. But the one thing I've learned, and I'm sure you can understand this, is sometimes you just gonna have to do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
Gotta do it, gotta say it. So I'm feeling confident, man. I'm feeling confident in my work, confident in being here, confident in what I see in the future with myself.
That's what's up, brother. That makes me happy.
So, what about you, my man?
How do I feel? I was just telling y'all a second ago I had a crazy audition. Which in reality, I think that like you were talking about control. I think the idea of finding things that you usually have control over, and in a situation where you don't have control anymore, it can kind of throw your brain off. You know, oh man, I'm usually good at this thing, and I didn't do the best that I could. It threw me off a little bit, but that's why I had to get out of the house, relax some, and just come and just go somewhere else. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel good overall.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
life
important.
is good. God good.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, good.
I'm alive.
That's
important.
That's the biggest thing, and everybody, you know, we don't
Yeah.
pay attention to that, man. We act like that's just something easy.
This is why my trip home was today. It's my first
was
time back
needed.
in Cali. Well, no, I came early this year to train for a show, but I'm talking about like I got to see my sisters and my mom this week. I needed to unplug.
You're not coming back working.
Yeah, bro. Like I swear, like I've been on the clock since 6 a.m. December 26th.
Yeah.
I booked this project. Hopefully, yeah, it comes out and y'all
Ain't
love
no
it.
hopefully you got to speak into existence.
When it happens,
There
y'all
you
gonna
go.
see. Like, but I mean, I really took up. That's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. That level of discipline is having to lock in for so long and change so much, drop that much, and just, man. But it really was draining because, as we already talked about, like coming off of that, I wrapped that project the day before I turned 25.
You just wrapped it.
Just wrapped it, right? But it was pivotal because last time we was up here, we talked about my brother passing away.
Yeah.
This is one of those auditions I got in the hospital with him. So literally because of the project and because of how much physical discipline I had to go through, working out was a literal thing I did to distract myself from the grieving process. So literally since August all the way until February 8th, the day before I turned 25, into the second quarter, I've been consumed with this project. And I ended up booking it late December and living it up until just a couple of
Do you
weeks
feel
ago.
like you had the time to grieve?
Hell no. That's why I came home in the first
Do you want
place.
the time to grieve?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because I was just explaining this to somebody. I don't think this is something I'm ever supposed to get over. I think I'm supposed to wake up feeling like I better appreciate waking up. I better work as hard as I can and take all the lessons I learned and make sure I grind my ass off because if he could, he would. But in the same token, I did have a situation. I'll tell y'all. I haven't cried really since the funeral. But on February 1st, right? I'd already been through my first Christmas, my first New Year's, Thanksgiving. But when it hit me that he wasn't calling me for my birthday, I broke down.
That was tough,
And I was on my way to set when I did. And my eyes was puffy because I've been literally putting it off for so long, and there's so many things that's gonna happen moving forward. That's what I made the flight that day. Like I'm coming back to Atlanta. I gotta come back. I gotta see my sisters. I gotta see my mom. I gotta just get good, bro.
Man, I like how you said that. You don't really feel like this is something you may even heal from.
Yeah.
Right? I tell people all the time that, you know, I personally don't feel like I've healed from my mother passing. Right? And I'm big on this whole healing versus being at peace thing. Like that's something that I always tell my patients, right? Because I've never healed from the fact that I've, like, my mother passing, right? You probably may not ever heal from the fact of your brother passing. You probably may not heal from some of the stuff you got going on. Does that really matter? Hell the fuck not. What matters is the fact that you're at peace with what happens, right?
And that's where I'm at.
Exactly.
I've reached a place of understanding that there is nothing I can do to change what's happened. And the reason why I'm here is because there's still more to do. And I was just discussing this earlier today too. It's crazy. Like, I'm waking up in a very uncomfortable situation. It sucks. It's a hard one to deal with, but I wake up, which means that I'm one day closer to getting better. You know, I'm not. It's not downhill from here. It's gonna progressively be something I get better with. You know, so that's my thing. That's all.
Hey man, but that's dope, and I like how you say you're one day to getting better. Each day you wake up. Don't
Every
nobody
day.
think like that.
Nobody
understand that every second that passes by is literally a second in which you're going to get. Second in which you're closer to getting towards that healing process that we're looking for, right? And a lot of people don't even know what the definition of healing is. How do we define that? You know, it's this theory, whatever. It's this complicated concept in which how can we heal? And healing is different from everybody, but being at peace is universal.
Yeah.
Being at peace is something that we all can understand. You know,
Yeah.
because the reason why a lot of individuals who are 60, 70 years old are still going through depression is because they mad at the fact that they haven't healed from something that went on when they was 10, 11, 12 years old.
Man,
You got to just be okay that happened.
you're seeing that more and more and more. The older I get, personally, I think I might be the youngest one in the room.
Yeah.
I used to hear people talk about like, when you 20, you ain't gonna think like you was when you was 25, or blah blah blah. In my head, I'm like, man, what you talking about? And for these last 5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
These last 5 years, a lot of stuff went down.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm with it. We get it. We here.
It's happened. So, moving on to the main topic, man, the black man's ego.
Yeah.
Black man's ego, man. The reason why I feel like this is important because there's this whole, you know, I don't want to say trend, but fuck it, trend around, you know, mental health, right?
Right.
And even though sometimes I be feeling as if this mental health conversation is trendy, it's important. Even if it's being spoken about the wrong way, it's important that it's actually being spoken about. I really do love how there are other therapists that are putting themselves out there more and just being a little bit more confident in their own work, right? But one side of mental health that we all need to speak about is men within mental health. Because the majority of my patients that I deal with, they're all females. All of them. And whenever a dude comes into the room, they're in the treatment for a few days. And they like, this ain't for me, so I'm finna kick rocks. Right? And then the only time they're going to treatment is it's the last thing. Right? They probably get put on a 5150, an involuntary hold, and they have to go to the hospital, or they feel as if they have to go seek therapy because people have been telling them this, or they have to leave from work, or we've never really dealt with the trauma, right? But
Right.
I feel sometimes it's our ego that's stopping us from going to ask for that help, because we spoke about this on numerous occasions, right?
Right.
A man got to be hard. A man got to be tough.
The masculinity.
A man got to be that individual that, you know, nobody sees him cry. Nobody sees him feeling weak.
That's what we were told.
That's what we were told.
Right.
Right? And because that's what society has created, because that's what we see the definition of a man is, anything outside of that is going against our ego. Anything outside of that is making it really, really hard. So our ego can sometimes be in the way of us getting the help that we actually need. Right? To me, an ego is nothing more of, you know, just a self-reflection of yourself, right? In relation to, you know, the culture in which we live in, you know, and how you choose to actually live within that. You know, it kind of bolsters your own personal self-confidence, right? I have to be strong, and if I'm not strong, I'm weak, and if I'm weak, I don't have that confidence. So my ego is going to be the one that's actually going to lead the way. But we don't look and we don't understand how sometimes that ego is really fucking you up.
Yeah, man, that ego, bro. The ego is. Let me ask y'all this: do you think you guys play a role in your ego? And here's what I mean. I think we're made by design. I think everybody ticks differently. There's a reason why you chose that to where I chose this to where you chose that to where. I think we're attracted to whatever we're attracted to from birth.
Yeah.
So I believe that we're all made individually by design.
Yeah.
But our ego, is that something that's handed to us? Or is that something that we develop on our own? Is it a mixture of both?
I think it's development.
It's development?
I believe it's development. And it's funny that this is a topic. I'm writing 2 projects right now.
Okay.
One is about ego. The other one is about mental health.
All right.
And one is a short, like my first short film I ever did was me versus my ego.
Yeah.
At a table conversation. And I'm redoing my first short film. Obviously doing it better. I'm a way better actor than I was in 2013 or whatever. But like that being like where I was in my life at that point, dealing with that, and where I am dealing with it now. And I think it's something that we build to present ourselves to the world, like you were saying before. Because it's like I know that when I first started acting, I went around telling everybody I was the best actor, period. Like I would introduce myself as I'm the best young actor in Atlanta when I first came out, and like people would look at me a certain way, and they would be like, oh, who's this guy or whatever. But it's something that I had to tell myself because I didn't believe it. And then over time, when I believed it, I put that away. But then I developed a problem with my own ego, and it's something that I've had to deal with my whole life. But it's something that I built myself to protect myself, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a unique concept because it can be used but it has to be managed. I feel like without the ego, like what are we? If it doesn't exist at all.
It definitely has to be managed. And
Yeah.
how do you manage it? But to answer your question, Terrell, I think the ego is something that society has created and we deem as this is what I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
So we're trying to stick and remain to that. But everything that's going against society or everything that we're trying to become doesn't really go against our ego. It goes against our ego all of the time, right? We don't speak of the ego when it comes to women. Women are very egotistical as well.
Right.
Women have a lot of problems when it comes to egos,
A lot of
right?
problems.
True.
True.
Some women's egos are very, very, very fragile, right?
Right.
But men' egos very, very fragile as well because we have to be hard. But when it comes to like us actually trying to be, I don't even want to say weak, but trying to be real,
Yeah.
right? Trying to be real with ourselves, with what's going on, that ego is in the way. So
Yeah.
the ego is there to kind of keep things in check sometimes, but sometimes, you know, you have to put that ego in check.
We be getting that there's always this weird, it's like the definition of man was handed to us,
Right.
but
Yeah.
our experiences in life are always different. And even if you put me and Patrick, for example, in the same situation, because of how our perceptions are wired, we would take it differently.
Differently, yeah.
Yet the definition of manhood or whatever is consistent.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of problems with what people think ego is. I've heard people say that ego's a bad thing. I don't think ego's a bad thing at all. For example, like I think you have to learn how to keep it in check, but people are supposed to have the egos they have because they're meant to be doing something with them. I don't think it's supposed to just be something that's developed over time just for the sake of having an ego.
Okay.
I think I need to break it. Okay, so I'm gonna try and get this out
Go ahead.
right.
Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So one of my really good friends, we was having a conversation about ego, and she brought up an amazing point. She said ego that is unaligned with spirit, when your ego is unaligned with spirit, the world will knock you on your ass. If you're meant to be doing something with the ego that you have been given, if, for example, you're confident enough to have a platform of an actor or a politician, yet your ego is unaligned with your spirit, your calling, your passions, you're never going to actually have any true control over even yourself.
Yeah.
Because you'll always be having this constant battle. I feel like my ego has always kept me comfortable in front of people. But that's because I'm supposed to be saying something in front of people that's going to help people. And the minute that I start using my ego and it gets out of check and I start feeling myself a little bit too much, the world will knock me on my ass.
Yeah.
Because my ego does allow me to walk in front of these people and be totally comfortable and sway crowds. I know I know I have the ability to
run a room.
to run a room, but that also means I can manipulate them. And the minute my ego is out of check, I just might.
Yeah.
And the world will eventually knock me on my ass. You get what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah,
so
yeah.
I know exactly.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That's my life. dog.
I'm saying, like, it's a real thing. We see it in celebrity. We see it in celebrities all the time. I don't want to call none out, but like, you see it. You see it. You
Yeah.
got these people. They get a little bit of money, or sometimes they get in relationships, or they go through things publicly, and it's like they lose their mind.
Yeah.
They
Because the
lose their
ego,
mind.
like you said, it can't be aligned with that spirit because that spirit is something completely different from what that ego is.
Right.
And she said if your spirit is aligned with your ego, the world is going to knock you over, right?
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with that, because our spirit is different. I feel as if our ego is already given to us from the world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Our spirit is individualized based upon who you are as a person, your upbringing, what you want to accomplish, all of these things, right? So if that stuff is aligned, it's obviously going to cause some, disruption within your life. But sometimes that ego is needed. That ego is needed to keep you grounded, right? Because if you sometimes allow your spirit to take over, if you sometimes get ahead of yourself, right, and your ego is just in the back chilling, you're gonna make yourself look like a fool.
Yeah.
Your ego sometimes have to be there to kind of humble you sometimes, so you can understand, like, hey, I may not be ready yet, but understand the difference in when you need to allow your ego to play front, and
Yeah.
when you need to allow that ego to take a back seat.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it, Pat?
I think that's that's why it's important to have moral values.
Yeah.
Like morals are number one, because whether ego, whatever it is that gets out of control, I think if you have morals, and they're solid, they won't change. Like
Okay.
we were talking about earlier, like even like the evolution of somebody from when they're 16, like you were saying when you were young. I had a talk with somebody the other day. I was like, yo, when I was 16, I'm 26 now. I'm the same person I was when I was 16. I have the same moral beliefs. I believe in the same thing. I'm the same person morally, but obviously my experience has changed. And in a sense, it's like the ego itself, because I'm in a whole new environment. I've been in LA for a year, like, and acting for going on 9 years. It's like coming from the hood. It's like as things change, as life changes, it's like this whole idea of what I have in my brain, it has to adjust. And now that I'm I'm recognizable in public, and it's beautiful when people come up and say things on a daily basis. Now it's like as things change with the world and how the world it's even like it's how the world sees you. You know.
So because you're recognized, and both of you guys are, but because you're recognized in public now, who do you sometimes catch leading the way? Your spirit or your ego?
Spirit, I'm 100%. Now it's the spirit. So now I want to keep it that way.
Okay.
You know, I want to keep it that way because there's nothing like I don't get big in public when I'm like, oh, somebody saw me. I'm important. I'm fancy. I'm special. It's like no, like you enjoy the work that I do on television. You enjoy the work that you see from me. So like I'm more happy that you enjoy it. Like it's just experience of like it's more that than me feeling over you or like me feeling puffed or my feelings aren't changing because you came up to me in public. You know, it's a genuine interaction.
Yeah.
I'd like to agree.
Yeah.
I like to think like I don't do this for the artist in me, the spirit in me wants to create. And if I stopped acting, I feel like I'd be empty. And so I do it. And whatever comes with it just comes with it. You know what I mean? I feel like if I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't be true to one of the passions inside of my heart. But how people perceive you, it's easy for me to assume when people walk up to me, but I hear a lot of stuff. It's never really it could be anything sometimes, but I'm also aware that anybody approaching you doesn't necessarily know you. They just appreciate what you do. And that alone, take that as a compliment and just move on.
As a compliment and
just move on. It's never so my aura doesn't get bigger because someone was like, hey, you old dude. Like, no, like it's just like, thank you, or I appreciate that, or I'll let you know, or pay, whatever. Like, that's cool.
So when you hear those compliments, what you're saying is
it's not always compliments, but for the most part,
when you do hear compliments, because you're right. But when you do hear compliments, what I hear yourself saying is just take them with a grain of salt, right?
Take it with you learn to be still.
Okay.
Learn to be still, because the minute you allow someone's attention to define if you're happy or not, you're gonna be unhappy as soon as you're not getting attention.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's like
as soon as you get
complete.
Home. As soon as you get home.
Yeah.
As soon as you
that's
get
like
home.
the complete opposite of me, though. For me, it's like I don't take those compliments as everything, but I understand the importance. I'm not saying you guys don't understand the importance of what you do, but I thoroughly appreciate and understand the importance of the compliments because within me, my ego, I constantly see myself fighting with my ego because there is a lack of self-confidence within my work, right? And that's obviously because of certain upbringings and me being drilled in my head as a kid that you're a fuck up and things like that, right? Yeah. So I'm constantly fighting against my ego. I'm constantly fighting against that lack of confidence, right? And my ego sometimes is there trying to tell me like, hey, Willis, this ain't you. Be tough, be hard, and be all these other things. But like you said, the spirit is telling me to just go. You know, just go, just have faith. So those compliments is like, I feel as if I don't need them.
Right.
Because in my head, I always got to tell myself, Willis, you ain't no bitch. And that's really
right.
Hey, get yourself together, Willis.
Exactly, right? I always got to tell myself that.
Come on.
Right.
But the compliments right there is like, okay, you at least doing something.
Yeah, you're on the right track. Yeah.
Keep going.
Okay, so I think we grew up very similar.
Yeah.
But I didn't get drilled in the head that I was just a screw up that wasn't going to make it to a certain point. But I never got any affirmation either. So I've learned to live my entire life for the most part without the compliments, to the point to where I don't know even how to take them when I get them.
Yeah.
Now, because I'm aware of what I do, and you and I have two vastly different career choices, and me as his, the same. So I think it's interesting that maybe you may appreciate the compliments more often.
Yeah.
Because maybe what you do sometimes is not, you don't get the thanks that you deserve for what you do as often.
And here's the cold part about that, right? When it comes to ego, when I hear those compliments, even though internally I'm like, yes.
Right.
Externally, I downplay the fuck out of those.
Oh yeah.
compliments.
Is that your ego?
I think it is, because I don't want to allow myself to get too big headed.
Yeah.
Do you fear that you will? Because I hear people say things like that. I mean,
I'm with you on that.
Do you fear that you will?
I don't fear that I will, because I understand the importance of staying grounded.
Right.
So I don't feel that I will, because and also because I feel as if I have to work 30 times harder to get to somewhere. Right. So I don't feel I will get big headed, but at the same time, me downplaying it, that's the lack of confidence that's speaking. That's like me saying like, yo, why are you even listening to this? Like this one girl on Instagram, I posted about this show. She had reposted it on her little story, like, yo, this is the best podcast for males and blah blah blah, all this extra shit, and that fucked me up. That fucked me up solely because the first thing that popped in my head is like, yeah, whatever. But internally, I was like, somebody listening to this.
Yeah.
But I still ask myself, why are you listening to this?
I listen
felt
to
like
this.
I'm just jealous, man.
I be in Atlanta listening to this. I've been in my trailer
Yeah.
listening to old episodes, catching up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No lie, you really do your thing.
Yeah.
But I think, okay, so the topic is specifically the black man's ego, right?
Correct.
So I'm going to throw some stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. I also downplay compliments. You downplay compliments. You downplay compliments.
Yeah.
Don't want to make a comparison, right?
Yeah.
But the black man's ego, I think, may be almost on the opposite side of what we call the white man's privilege. Because
Okay.
I remember growing up in my community where we had everybody. We had everybody. It was predominantly color, but I had white friends. I had black friends. When I got compliments from authority figures especially, I would downplay it, and I would watch my white counterparts embrace them because they knew they could be president. They knew they could do whatever they want. They knew no matter what, they had resources. They had
They had a chance.
they had complexion for success.
Yeah.
And so I've learned to be humble, because if not, they won't even trust me in these rooms. And I think that the black man's ego can. I asked you if you feared that you would, because I don't think anybody else has to worry about that.
Yeah.
I think there is a genuine fear when it comes to being aware of your ego, that you can walk in the room and be like, yo, I can work this room and control this room, or it can be, I can make these people do whatever the fuck I want. And it just depends on how you feel in the moment about yourself. You truly can take over sometimes depending on where your ego is at. I think that's something very particular to the black man's ego.
Go ahead.
And I think it comes from knowing self. You know, like when someone truly, honestly knows who they are. Because I fear getting too big. That is my number one fear, is that I will think of myself more than what I actually am, and even on the opposite, not being as much as I see of myself as. So before auditions in the morning, I'll say, if you're the young GOAT, if you're the young greatest of all time, then why aren't you acting like it?
Yeah.
Like if I call myself, if people started to call me that, I took a name that said you're going to be the young greatest of all time. So I look at myself and say, yo, you're not acting like the young greatest of all time. So then I'll play it up. But then I'm like, my ultimate fear is to be. I hate those guys. Like I hate what they have made of Kanye West.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm such a huge fan of Kanye West, and it's like what he's become is far. I think
that's a great example of when
like,
the ego is unaligned.
And it's like he was in a perfect pocket.
He needs that platform. He needs his ego for his platform.
Yeah, now even more now than like before, when it was all skill and talent. It's all skill and talent now, but it's like now it's the stuff that he's saying is just like it's muffled. Like his message is being muffled. So I mean, it's funny how I can understand what you're saying when I deal with people approaching me on a daily basis now.
And that's when I believe that's when the ego is like sometimes most important,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because obviously y'all two are much more in the public eye than I am,
Mm-hmm.
especially something like Kanye West. Certain times you need your ego there to put you in check.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your ego could just be all the way gone and you could just be completely lost.
Yeah.
Right? So when you spoke about acknowledging your ego and just understanding it when it's there,
Mm-hmm.
don't be afraid of it. Right? Sometimes we just we don't acknowledge it. We think it's the bad guy. Society has kind of taught us ego is the bad guy. Ego is something that's going to hold us back. Right?
Right.
If your ego is fragile, you're just a fucked up guy, or you're just susceptible to all sorts of hurt.
Right.
But sometimes that ego has to be there to protect you,
Absolutely.
and you have to let it protect you. Right? You brought up your experience of growing up with white people and seeing white privilege and all of these other things. I didn't grow up seeing white people. I really
Me
wasn't introduced to white folks until I hit like 23, 24.
Oh, no, that's a little late.
That's a little late.
I knew white people here and there, but I didn't have to.
I ain't seen a white person until 25 years old. What?
I didn't have to fully work with white people until I was like 23, 24.
Yeah.
That's through grad school. But before that, I've dealt with complexion a lot, right? Dark-skinned brother.
Yeah.
So growing up, it's not the white man's privilege, but the light-skinned privilege, right? You got the light-skinned privilege, and the light-skinned dude is
What, you
able to
looking
get
at me?
sex. That's your ass, like, right?
I was like,
What?
Man, Pat is like me. We here.
hey, come on. Hey,
First of all,
well, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle.
First of
Stand a
all,
few seconds out in the sun, we be equal.
Hey.
So
you got 2 minutes out there. You gonna be right with me, brother.
exactly.
I am an ally. I need y'all to know I am on your side.
He's like, we are together.
I am on your side, bro.
You are the ally.
Listen, I'm aware that your
are.
blackness makes some uncomfortable. If I could, I would.
But
turn it
being
up a little bit.
Being aware of that blackness sometimes forces that ego to take control, right? Because the blacker you are, sometimes I've had to protect myself and force myself to be more than the next person. I
Right.
caught myself not being in control of who I am because I'm trying to be right? And as a black man, especially a dark-skinned black man, you have to fit certain criteria, right? If you light-skinned, you soft, you're okay to be a little bit vulnerable. It's just in your complexion.
It wasn't okay for me growing up, but I get the point you're trying to make.
Yeah,
I hear
but
you.
the darker skin you are, you don't have the time to really, be soft because you got more people coming at you. So
Yeah.
growing up, as that dark-skinned brother, I had noticed a lot that my ego was taking over a whole lot. And I believe that's why that lack of confidence is there, right? Because my ego was kind of beat down my whole entire life. It's kind of like, when my ego is trying to take control, it's just like, do what you can.
I think we can play a role in helping each other's ego heal.
Yeah.
I think so. I think, all right, so I'm going to go on a little trip real quick. I think your ego, a lot of times, like, okay, back growing up, our counterparts, white
Yeah.
counterparts,
Yeah.
I never saw them tease each other like we teased each other, right? For my dark skin, I'm the lightest relative I have for the most part on the men's side, outside
Yeah.
of my twin uncles. Everybody else is relatively darker than me, right? And I hear the jokes, but whenever they're at school and they're getting clowned, they're getting bullied.
Yeah.
Okay, so the difference between teasing and bullying, you can tease someone for being overweight, but they can lose the weight. You tease someone's skin color, they can't change that. That's bullying. So if you're a kid and you're being bullied at a very young age for being dark, that conditions your ego and your attitude to always be on the defensive.
Exactly.
You will always feel like I got to protect myself. In this world of people who don't appreciate me at my core. I couldn't pick my color. I didn't even ask to be black. You know what I'm saying? So,
But it's a beautiful thing.
oh yeah. Like I said, I'm a dark skinned ally. I got shirts. It's lit. Y'all melanin. I'm melanin light. We good. But the point is that I never saw that from white people. I've never seen them bully each other, and even when they bullied us, it was the same bullying. It wasn't teasing.
Yeah.
It was bullying.
Because a lot of people don't understand white privilege isn't what's given to you. White privilege is what you don't have to go through. So your white counterparts, they don't have to go through those extra little layers to grow up because it's already handed to them. right? So us teasing each other, going back and forth about our complexion and all these other things within the black community, that right there is a rite of passage, I believe, right? Because don't nobody shoot the shot like black people. Don't nobody crack jokes about each other like black folks, right?
no.
And that laughter right there is needed in order to heal those wounds, help out with that pain, help out with that low self-esteem. So we learn how to do that. White folks, they don't have to do that, right? They don't have to constantly feel like they're on the defense side because they've never were approached as such. Black people, it's just like, hey, we gotta constantly be on guard.
Actually, I have a question for both of y'all then.
Go ahead.
All right.
My question would be, because times are changing, right? Slowly, but there's change being made because people are being aware
Right.
of what's happening.
Right.
Do you feel like we're entering into a time where there will be black privilege?
There is already
There-
black
there
privilege.
is
But
already
there
black
is, but on a
Like white people have privilege?
Not that much, but just more. I feel like even being an actor, like I'm so grateful that I was born when I was born, that I am now in this place of like film where like we was behind for so long. It's like
Right.
finally we coming up, and it's like to get opportunities to do bigger things. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I'm black.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I'm like
yeah.
in this minority. Like,
he's
yo,
speaking the
You're
truth.
completely
I'm like,
right.
He's speaking the truth. He's speaking the
You're
truth.
completely
I
right.
pray at night. I'm like, yo, God, just thank you for the,
Thank you.
thank you for it.
Thank
Like,
you that I'm black now.
yeah, it's
Right.
like it's
Now.
like for so much time. I mean, and I feel bad for people who don't like have that thing that they can look to. But it's like to be in this entertainment industry, it's like, hey, well, I went through all of this for this whole this whole chunk of my life. Now this is working for me now. Like as far as like skill, as far as like opportunity, it's like it's so much better. And I've never I had this, and I talked with somebody about this the other day, and people go back and forth, but
Are they black?
yes,
Okay.
the reality is, what this new thing I'm about to say.
Oh.
It's that like I never felt that I was at I knew I was at a disadvantage, but I didn't always feel it because I ignored it. Like ignorance is bliss. Like I never came into situations like, oh, this is gonna be extremely hard for me. I knew in the back of my brain because my mom was like, you gotta do better. Like you gotta make better grades.
Yeah.
You gotta do this because this because these people over here. That's the reality.
Where you from?
I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. Only reason why I asked that because I've never felt that way as well. But I know that I've never felt that way because I haven't been introduced to white folks until later on in my life. Here, it's just blacks and Mexicans, and we live on an equal plane. The only thing you have to worry about is what neighborhood you in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I never felt as if I had to work that much harder than the white person. Right. I think it was like last week or 2 weeks ago that I've never experienced overt racism, right? I've never experienced anyone calling me nigger or anything like that.
Oh, I'm from Florida, so
Yeah, that's why.
yeah.
You're there,
Yeah.
right? I'm not, right? So it's. I think the. Damn, I completely lost where I was going with this. He threw me off. Fuck it, that shit gone.
and the music wasn't playing.
well,
you can lean on the music, but it wasn't nothing. It was quiet.
Stop me if you remember,
Go.
because I probably won't forget this, because this is a theory, right?
Yeah.
God hands us our egos in my head. Here's what I mean by that. There's a reason why you were born when you were born, and you're in the era that you're in right now.
Yes, sir.
I feel like there are levels to this shit. My spirit was supposed to be born when it was born. 100 years back, whoever my ancestors were, they could handle the plight that was in front of them.
Yeah.
They were built for that. My task, though probably vastly different, I'm never going to have to go through what they had to go through. I probably wouldn't even have the strength to do so.
Yeah.
I got a purpose that's very important. Otherwise, I would not be here. I would not be trying to build the platform, because that's the platform that's on my heart. It's the same thing that makes you come over here every Sunday and do what you do. It's the same thing that you was auditioning on a Sunday to do.
Oh, yeah.
We are here to do what we're supposed to do. So sometimes, even when you think of like, oh man, I'm so grateful to be black now, right now,
Yeah.
there's power in that.
Oh, yeah.
There's power in knowing, like, and being aware. I literally was
Being
just
aware.
being aware is freedom.
Yeah.
Being aware is freedom. You don't always have to be in the best of situations, but if you know all of your possible outcomes and you know all right, this is my problem, this is my strength, this is my weakness, I'm gonna work on this, blah, 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 blah. I know what makes me tick. There's freedom in that. You're not worried.
Being aware is freedom, but being aware is also very terrifying and scary if your ego is leading the way. Because being aware, your ego is not going to be aligned with you being aware of where you're at. Like you're speaking about, I'm so damn fucking happy that I'm black now. Right? That we are black now, right? But that ego isn't there to actually sometimes protect you. If that makes sense, right?
Sure. It makes a lot of sense.
I'm happy that I'm black now as long as I don't allow my ego to lead the way.
There are other places in the world where if I walk to right now, if any of us went, because of our skin tone, we'll have black privilege because they embrace and think of us as kings.
I have black privilege being a black therapist.
Yeah, bro, like that.
Right?
Every
time I walk into a room and they see I'm black and I'm a male, they just there is a God, like
really,
and that's dope. But even in those standpoints, I have to understand, like, Willis, don't get too big.
That's surprising. I didn't
Stop.
know.
Yeah.
Don't chill. I mean, chill. Chill. Don't let this get to your head, right? Because my other counterparts, the white counterparts, right, their approach when it comes to therapy is vastly different. So when, a patient sees somebody else who looks like them, it's like a weight has been lifted off of their shoulders. Now it's up to you. Exactly. Now it's up to you at that moment in time, who are you going to allow to lead the way? Because if I allowed my ego to lead the way, I'm going to go in there thinking as if I know it all. I'm good. I know y'all happy to see me. So woo. But if I just allow my spirit to lead the way, and sometimes I think that lack of confidence, because that lack of confidence allows me to be humble in understanding that I don't know everything.
Right.
I allow that spirit to lead the way, and who I am, and just be like, okay, yeah, y'all clapping and shit, but I'm just gonna do the best that I could do. Hopefully y'all like what I'm talking about and all this other stuff. Hopefully we can get to a certain point, but I can't allow that ego to get there.
Absolutely.
That's wild, man.
That's crazy. Just different, completely different thought process. Like, we all living in the same place with completely different. Every human being is a human story. That's what it is.
But that's why when you said you believe our ego is given to us by God, I just had to disagree with you.
No, but you see, here's the thing though. So maybe let me elaborate, because you're right from that perspective, but I literally just said that so I didn't have to explain it. But it's kind of like this. We're all given like caps and attributes. I don't know if people even play 2K, for example. If you make your character a certain height, there's only so much he can do. If you make him so heavy, there's so much he can do. There is a cap for everything that I'm capable of. No matter how big my ego gets, I will never be able to do certain things because this is my clay.
And your
I
ego
am
don't
this
know
tall.
Your ego don't know what's big and what's not.
Exactly. So it's kind of like this. Like when I say the ego's given, I have the ability and the comfort to do this, but there are only so many places I can go.
Yeah.
And there's only so much I can do. So what I'm supposed to be doing, my ego is built for, as long as it's aligned in its purpose. But the caps that I'm given as a person is kind of like the combination, the thing that makes everything click.
So you think the ego would be able to function if it's aligned in, backtrack before I answer that question. If the ego is aligned in whose purpose? Your purpose, or the ego's purpose?
My purpose. If I was still trying to go to the league, I'd be fucked up right now. Like,
Okay,
like
so
it's
do
not.
you think
It's not.
the ego will be able to function well or thrive or even be necessary if the ego is aligned in that purpose?
Repeat the question one more time.
Do you believe the ego will function well, function properly, or do you even think the ego will actually have this negative light on it if it is aligned in its purpose?
Ego will never suffer if you are aligned with your purpose. I think your confidence might. I think there are things about you when you're just trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing with your life. You'll always have these little roadblocks.
Yeah.
But whatever it is you're supposed to be doing, when you find that thing, you will be able to handle anything that comes with it. For what I do, I'm in front of people a lot. A whole lot.
All the time.
And it's not even there's no amount of classes and schooling that you can go through to be embarrassed. All right? But there's things that you can do and things that people are willing to do because their ego is built for it. All right, well, y'all clowning me this. I'm still going to get up and go to work today. Yeah. My job is different from everybody else's job.
Yeah. You know, the one thing between everything that we're saying is balance. Everything lives in balance. Like everything is in control and in the awareness of what it is. Even in discipline, like, because I believe that discipline is freedom. Like I believe that discipline is like if I can control everything that I have going on, that's where freedom is. So like me to be disciplined, like I don't drink, I don't smoke. I never have, I never will. I'm saying that now. That's on the radio, that's on the camera, you feel me? But like but I think that being able to discipline yourself in all areas of life, it gives you the control because you're aware of what it is. Like even me saying, hey, I'm aware of what my ego can possibly be. So I can discipline that and I can balance that. I can manage it and control it so it doesn't become something that's too far. I was listening to a motivational speaker and he talks about he was talking about Gandhi and Mother Teresa. And I just went through this phase where I was studying like Robin Williams for a long time. Yeah. And then Will Smith. And because like these personality tests online, it tells you who you're like. And Will Smith was my number one, and then it was Robin Williams. So now I'm on this thing where I'm looking at Gandhi and I'm looking at like Mother Teresa and the things that they represented. And everything lives in balance and in discipline. Yeah. Like that's everything. Because like if you have no discipline, you're out of control. If you have no balance, you're out of control. And like even biblically, like that's like a huge thing is everything being in a fine, like perfect balance. Like things that are out of balance are an abomination. Yeah. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Level spelled backwards is level. You know,
like oh shoot,
yeah, level spelled backwards is level. So it is. Yeah.
Okay,
level,
so
Level.
You wrote it down for real, yo.
Lavelle.
All right, so Pat, I got a question for you then. Yeah. So, and this may be advice for me, but it's more than likely advice for anybody who probably felt like their ego takes a hit every now and then, right? So, what do you do in those situations where life takes away the balance? Because those moments do inevitably come.
Oh, they're coming.
Where your balance is off, be it in discipline or whatever. Your balance is gonna be knocked off.
So the one thing I always tell my patients, right, is do not have this expectation that life is going to be this fairy tale land with a bunch of unicorns, and as soon as you get over this shit, things are going to be great. Fuck no. I always tell them life is going to decide when it wants to give you the middle finger. Life is going to flick you off and knock your glasses off. I always tell them, right, life is nothing more but a bunch of bag of shits. Life is just going to always give you a bag of shits. Life isn't about cleaning up those bag of shits. Life is about figuring out which bag of shit smells the best, right? So when it comes to when life decides to smack you in your face and you're not balanced, right, it's about accepting that little piece that came to you and just sit with it. Yeah. Sometimes we have to sit with our bullshit. We have to sit with our bullshit and just see where we're at. Yeah. Acknowledge that bullshit, see what it tastes like, smell like, see how it makes you feel, all of that stuff, right? Because when something knocks you in your face, the only way you're going to stand back up is if you stop and stand up. Instead of you trying to stumble and miss all this extra shit and trying to fight, you just got to stop.
You got to think. You have to take a moment. Because I know every it's like in life, it's like we're either about to go into a storm, we're in a storm, or we're getting out of a storm. Yeah. It's one of those three things. We're about to go into something, we're right in the middle of it, or we just came out. So it's like with that understanding, it's then when we go through these like super difficult things in life, it's the moment where we stop and say, hey, like something good is coming, because that's what happens. Life is this circle. So it's like if I just got out of it, I'm feeling this joy and this happiness that like I'm not dealing with that thing that I was just dealing with, but you know in your brain that something else is coming in you know, positively, negatively, that something is coming, and like being aware of that, like you said before, like you're able to keep an even keel. Because I know me, I'm pretty extreme. Like if I love something, I love it. If I hate something, I hate it. I despise it. So now I'm learning to be like my roommate Jock. Like Jock is he even keel. Like stuff doesn't throw him off too much. Like today I said I had a bad audition. It throws my brain off, and I have to then adjust. Like when things happen, I'm like, okay, and I had to stop for a second and say, all right, cool, let's regroup, let's figure this thing out, and then keep moving. Even huge stuff, like you were talking about death before, like death being one thing that we have I think it's the hardest thing for our brains to actually conceptualize. It's like what is happening, because we believe something, but there is no definite truth in that to say like, hey, and it's all in peace. Like my uncle passed May of 2017, and it was the hugest thing in my life. And I was going into My first movie, I was in the rings. Like my first movie on screen, I'm going in and my mom calls me and says, "Hey, your uncle has cancer." Then he died like a few months later. But that whole journey of that, like my brain couldn't identify with what exactly it was. So I just had to be at peace with it. Like, no, he's in a better place. Things are better,
Yeah.
And I had to, in my own brain, you don't get over it. Every show, I'm on TV now. I'm the most emotional dude ever. I'm crying on this show. I'm crying. I'm going through this. I'm going through that. And my uncle is there, like you were saying, in every single on every set, every show. Grey's Anatomy, he's there. On The Resident, every week he's there. When I'm going through like the hardest stuff where I have to like relate to something. But death is hard. But I know like it's in staying like in all of
It's
these
in
ideas.
that pause. Like it's exactly what you
that
were
pause.
speaking about earlier, Terrell, about how, and Deidre just mentioned this in the comments. You got to take a pause, right?
What up, Deidre?
The moment you actually, your brother's death did not hit you that bad until your birthday came, is because at that time you stopped filming the day before your birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrapped production literally the last day of 24 years old.
You wrap production the last day of 24 years old. That next day is fairly light because it's your birthday. You just got done wrapping up. Now that's your second to pause.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
that was your second to pause. Now that's when you getting hit with everything. Boom, 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 boom. Now it's your whew.
Man, it was crazy.
But at that moment is when you supposed to get that balance in check.
Well, that's why I asked, because I thought coming home to unplug was the best decision. That's why I'm even here today.
It always is.
Oh, yeah.
It always is.
But even in unplugging, I'm going to tell y'all something else, right? So I dropped 30 pounds to do the project I just did.
Yeah.
I changed my diet very particularly,
Yeah.
borderline vegan, but I train 6 hours a day. I feel really good. I'm still in the best shape of my life, but in this week, I've put on like 14 pounds
In 1 week?
in 1 week.
Oh shoot.
I'm explaining why though. Because and if you guys can't tell on camera, like my face is still bloated, but if you guys was there 2 days ago, my eyes were swollen shut. Not from crying, but because I had allergic reactions to food I was forcing myself to eat. I was binge eating because I was still kind of like, I don't know, I was looking for like being home wasn't enough. I want to feel good, so give me this, give me the sweets, give me this,
all that. Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, it was when I woke up that next morning, it hurt to blink. My eyes were so swollen, and I really had to just kind of sit there for a day, messed around, rolled my ankle, can't work out for the next 2 weeks. I'm on 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm surprised we still here talking. But the reality is, I went home, unplugged, threw out all my discipline. Like, fuck that discipline. I'm going through too much because now this is literally his first, like, his 6-month anniversary passing was the 24th of February. I came home right after that. And this is my first time seeing my sisters, my mom, the photos of him, everything around the house. Like, it was tough. And I'm like, that's why I asked about the balance, because I'm
It
struggling.
was quick when you brought that up. I started to think about stabilization, right? So
Right.
balance is.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes you can be balanced in a positive way, right? Like you speaking about how you were vegan and you were disciplined and you was balanced in those regards. But as soon as you started to eat and binge on a lot of these things that your body weren't accustomed to, and knocked your balance off.
Oh, man,
but
yeah.
before that, when you was eating all that stuff, you was good.
Oh, yeah.
So it made me think about, balance is important, but make sure you're balanced in the right way.
Well, you see,
Because
I
you
think,
could be
go ahead.
stable, but your baseline could be fucked up. You know, you ever came across someone where their baseline is just fucking crazy, and that's who they are, right? Sometimes you can be balanced negatively. Sometimes you can be balanced on the other side. Sometimes our life has to get disrupted. You have to take on all of those shots, right? You have to get off balance so you can get balanced correctly.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Recalibrate.
I love that.
Incorrectly
Recalibrate.
balanced. Exactly.
I love
we can
that.
Be incorrectly imbalanced.
And I felt like I was doing everything right. The food wasn't even the big thing. That was just the first thing. Like that,
Exactly, yeah.
I'm not going down the list, but essentially, like I said, I came home and just said, I don't want to feel this way no more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would have rather just, I feel like I ate every snack we used to eat together. And that was better than sitting there thinking about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I woke up and then I had to focus on, okay, I gotta go on a fruit cleanse. I gotta figure this out. I need to drink some Smooth Move. I gotta get this out of my system, you know, because like I was really legit still right now. Like I'm back, but like I'm still like my face is still swollen. I'm still like, yo,
that's the reason why I'm still a vegan to this day.
How long you been vegan?
Going on 3 years.
Oh wow.
It's not because like I'm animal rights thinking. I'm just scared to get sick.
I was vegan for a week.
shout out to you.
It was a challenge for a week. It was so hard.
Oh yeah, it's gonna
1
be
week
hard.
was difficult. And my friends
Yeah.
were taking me to Roscoe's and all this stuff. But I'm
They're not your
eating
friends.
salad.
They not your
They
friends.
eating waffles. And I'm actually going to Roscoe's right after I leave here today. But I need some chicken.
You gotta get it, but I don't know me. I just cut it off.
That's
I just
cool, man.
stopped.
That's good.
Right.
I empty out the
That's
fridge.
motivational.
But I realized that like 6 months later, 6 months down the line or something, I ate some meat at like this one barbecue and I got
Oh yeah,
sick.
bad. I'm sure.
So I got sick. So once I felt that pain, I was like, okay, this is the type of pain that I don't want to get accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like the pain you spoke about when it comes to the lack of discipline and everything, that kind of, it didn't die out, but it kind of, it lost it a little
I
bit.
just took a week
You-
off.
You took a week off?
Took a week off.
2
Right?
days
For
off.
me, it was like, okay, I don't want to get back there. You're like, I can't get back here no more. Sometimes that's why I believe pain is very, very beneficial. You have to get knocked over. You have to get popped off in the head, right? Sometimes, and that's I believe us getting popped off in the head and losing our balance is what's going to keep us balanced, right?
Yeah.
Because we can't get too full of ourselves.
Yeah.
If we just allow our ego to take control and never ever, get knocked off.
Yeah.
We just gonna think we can take over the world.
I even think that the concept of good and bad, like good times and bad times, right? And as far as being better,
Yeah.
that the bad times are usually what make us better. You know, like we enjoy good times, we enjoy good things, but it is always in the times where we don't know what's happening that we become better. So it's like, what is actually good? You know, when it's like the bad things are, or the bad times are usually like what equipped us. I think that like my brother just had a kid. Shout out to my brother. He had a kid. And
Uncle Pat.
Yeah, I remember when he told me that he was having a kid. Like, and my mind is blown. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe this. And you got to go tell my mom. He put me on speaker. Like watching his whole process of telling his mother that he's having a child, telling this. I was there when he told my dad. Like, and I saw my dad's face. I saw my dad's reaction. And it's like to now watch everybody like adjust. It's like, and that bad, and that thing that we saw is at one point like, oh, this is gonna be horrible. It's changed my family. You know, it's brought my family closer together. So it's like, even funerals. It's funny how like funerals bring families to. I mean, it a lot of times it separates them, but a lot of times it brings them together.
Absolutely.
And it's like without that bad thing or without that thing that happened, there would be like a constant state of division, and it just brings that like, and that's what it's like. What you make of life, like what do you like how you find that little bit of good in all this bad, like how you find like in being African American, like how you find in all this that you have to go through. Like I've dealt with the police stuff, like the
I
all
just
have.
dealt with that.
Oh, man, it's
We all
crazy,
have.
like
Ridiculous.
and it's like the stories I could tell and to tell my friends, my Caucasian friends, and their minds are blown. And it's like that was a reality for so long. It's a reality forever. But it's like finding that good side to say, hey, like this is what's great about it. Like this is what's great about me being me. And I'm gonna be straight up. Like it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us in the room and people listening. But like I sometimes I like having that. I know that I may have a natural, like we have faces like Terrell can be kind of scary if you look at him. Like if you look at him, he have like he can have a well not to me, but like to people he can be like,
No,
oh,
true.
that's a scary face.
That's true.
You know, it's like
I've been told that.
I can embrace that and say, you know what, I may look a little upset right now. I'm good, but I'm glad you're not bothering me right now.
Protective, yeah, it's protective, but
It's
Yeah.
a very good defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Against
being
bullshit.
good,
I don't want to talk to you.
but being good.
I ain't eating breakfast this morning. I'm really going through.
To define that good and that bad, I would think being good is being peace within that bad, right?
Yeah.
Because when we're just good all the time, I don't really believe that's good because
It's
you're
not
going
good.
to get comfortable.
You don't even know what good is if you were good all the time.
Exactly.
There would be no good.
You're gonna
Man,
get
you don't even know what
comfortable.
good is if you good all the time, bro.
You wouldn't know what good is.
You smart, Pat.
That's what I believe. You wouldn't know.
Smart out here,
You would
man.
not know.
You wouldn't know
You
the
would not
clue.
know what
You wouldn't even
good
know any
is
other
if you're good all the
reality.
time.
Right.
You wouldn't even know any other reality.
If everything was always good,
So
like
is good really good?
Good.
that was my
Okay.
point. That's my point. Is what is good what is bad? Like if bad never came in, like even if you think of like your Batman and the Joker, like Batman is not as dope without the Joker. He's not like, and even in the
There's
movies how they
yin
play,
and yang about everything.
yin and yang, we yin and yang, we yangin', you know?
Man, you wouldn't even have any other reality. I think good is being, I don't care how bad things are. If you know you can think of another situation that you'd rather not be in,
You
you good.
Yeah, you
It doesn't matter how bad it is.
Yeah.
It does not matter
You
how
good,
bad it.
yeah.
I mean, it can throw me the worst scenario. Not really, but just think of the worst scenario.
I'm good.
Are you in there?
Nah.
You good. You
You good.
alive. You moving. You still got my tats. Like my neck
It
work.
could always,
Like I'm good.
Because it could always get 1,000 times worse, and we don't even
Easily.
realize that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Like that. I watched an accident. Like on the way up here, I watched an accident.
I watched one like 2-3 weeks ago, something like that.
Man,
Car
and you
flipped
know
over.
what? Here, okay, wasn't that bad. Mine was a simple little fender bender, but I got a rental and I didn't pay for the insurance, so I'm just
Yeah.
like, whew, all right, we good. Like we good.
yeah,
like
yeah.
it was something light. Like they argued a little bit, but you know,
Yeah.
could have
Yeah.
been my car. A whole different conversation.
Could have been your car, and it could have been all the way bad. But
Absolutely.
it's about understanding that even if it does get that bad, we have to understand that we're going to be good regardless.
Yeah.
If it gets that bad and you still alive and you still moving,
You good.
it's not gonna get no worse.
But that's another thing. How bad do we really know how bad will we be able to know how bad could actually get, if that makes sense? Because the worst thing that could possibly happen is death.
Yeah.
None of us died.
In some
Yeah.
cases,
In some cases, the worst
Some
thing.
cases.
Some cases, you're right.
some
Yeah.
cases,
Some cases, you're right.
Yeah.
But a vast majority of the case,
Yeah.
the worst thing is death, right? And even if you're still alive, you're still good, so it's not as bad as you really think it is,
right.
But going back into the ego thing, that's what it is, right? Our ego might be telling us, like, this is a bad situation. Retreat, run, being vulnerable, speaking about your feelings, that's a bad situation. Run, don't, be open about how you feel about a situation. Don't allow people to know that you're hurting, that's a bad situation. Run. But our spirit is telling us that we're hurting. Our spirit is telling us that we need to let someone know, and process. A lot of us don't even know how to process.
So, do you think that the ego and your consciousness should get along in order for you to have the best opportunity of being your best self?
So that goes into the id, the ego, and the superego.
Okay.
I just did a lot of research on that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
touch on it, yeah.
So that's why I asked.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I want
Yeah.
for the listeners, let's talk about that. I mean, when your consciousness and your ego, when you're aware of everything, like, is that the best thing for you? Like you said, we about to walk into this situation. The normal person may think, well, that's just your consciousness telling you, well, that's stupid, don't do that. But your ego might make you do it. Do you think am I making sense?
You're making sense, but when it comes to the id, the ego, and the superego, that ego is what's actually there keeping you balanced. Because the superego is just, I'm just inflated with everything. I'm the best. I can whatever. The id is us going back to our primal instincts and stuff like that. But that
Right.
ego is what's keeping us balanced. So in those regards, the ego is what's needed.
Yeah. People get it mixed up, like they mix up alter ego with ego.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, people think that like what they believe is the ego is usually the alter ego.
Exactly.
Like you be like, oh, this is the bad, this is the total opposite. It's like that is the alter ego. That's not even what, like. I
not
think
the same
there should
thing.
be like a very distinct like thing where everybody should learn. This is what this is. This is what because I was blown away when I found out what everything actually meant. When I thought that the whole time I thought ego was what I came to find out was the alter ego.
Okay. You said you disagree, right? With what he said, Terrell?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
No, I said they're different things. Well, I
Okay.
forgot what he said that I said that too,
Okay,
but
okay.
and I was agreeing with him.
Okay. You're right. But it is interesting, right? Because this definition that is put upon us, we have to understand sometimes it's not the right definition. We have to step back and just ask these questions, like, okay, this ain't me. This definition isn't me, so let me go double back and check. Sometimes we just accept things for what it is and just roll with the punches because we're not really trying to put forth the effort to go see it.
Educate yourself.
Y'all ever find yourself doing things that y'all feel like y'all should want to do just because y'all feel like y'all should want to do it? Is that ego, or is that
That's ego.
That's ego.
That's all the way ego, because our ego is telling us this is where we're supposed to be. It's kind of like, for me, sometimes I feel as if I should want to. Sometimes I feel as if I should want to give a fuck about certain things. Right?
I love Willis Cooks, yo.
Sometimes I feel as if I should want to give a fuck about this person, or I should want to give a fuck about what you're talking about. But I really don't. And, and my ego was like, this is where it's supposed to be, and blah, blah, blah. But my spirit is like, or just who I'm leading with is just like, you're not aligned with what I'm trying to do. Or I'm looking at your situation as if the stuff you're talking about right now ain't really that big. Your view on it is just what's fucking it up. Right? So a lot of the times I'll be feeling like that, but it's I have to always step back.
It's childish. I think it's childish. I think it's like when you were a kid and you told what a man is supposed to do when it comes to women. Like, in your heart of hearts, you may know, I probably shouldn't be playing with these hearts like this, or doing this. But I've been told all my life, men is supposed to do X, Y, Z and run them numbers up, or whatever the case may be. And it's just so stupid at the end of the day. Just so stupid. Like, question. Go ahead. I'm
I was
talking.
gonna ask you, what were you saying about looking at someone else's situation, being like, that ain't that big? Like, what was your
So if, for instance, say you're stressing about the fact that you can't pay a light bill.
Mm-hmm.
You're crying. You're in tears. Oh, I can't pay this light bill. I can't pay this. A lot of the kids, I work along with the stuff in the other hospital. I work with adolescents who in rehab, who OD and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've literally came across kids who said, "Oh, I OD'd because my mom didn't give me this type of Rolex."
Bro, what?
Yeah.
The watch?
Yeah. I OD'd on meth, or I OD'd on whatever, on all these pills, because my mom didn't give me a specific type of Rolex, or my mom didn't give me the Rolex when I wanted it.
Yeah.
In your eyes, that shit's that big, but grand scheme of things, dog,
Yeah.
you just tripping.
Because it's like, it's even in like the idea of the grand scheme of things. I went to an acting class here, and there was maybe like six African American people in the class. It was like a huge like community thing, so it was like over 100 actors there.
With only
And-
6 black people?
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. It was like, yeah. And the thing was, I heard so many situations, and it was like one day it was like you get 5 minutes to tell about your things that you've experienced, your life story or whatever. And I heard so many things that made people like so depressed, and I was like, what? Are you serious? And I found myself almost judging certain situations, but then it took a moment for me to, and that was a huge learning curve for me to say that when you the fact that if this jacket ripped right now, it could be the most damaging thing in his life, that his Spelman jacket ripped just as much as me seeing 2 people get shot in my real life was like damaging. Like, yo, he just got shot right there because we was on the basketball court and it's wild. Like, my man just got shot. He's dead right now.
Yeah.
And your jacket is equivalent to me feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
So then it teaches me understanding and, again, balance. But like, as an actor, like true understanding of all situations, because it's how we respond to it. It's like, obviously there's a grand scheme of it, but it's like, if everybody doesn't know the grand scheme, then it's like doesn't
How
like,
we respond to it,
Yeah.
and then what's your norm?
yeah.
What's your
Yeah.
normal? Because as you were speaking about earlier, Terrell, is it like, I'm glad that I'm a black person born today and not a black person born within slavery. But those black people that were born within slavery, they could be looking at us today like, y'all tripping.
Yeah, exactly.
That shit ain't that bad, dude.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it was that. It was
I'm sure everything.
And we're looking at their situation like, yo, y'all. Whoa.
If
But
I was in that
their
situation,
norm.
I'd whoop Master's ass.
Yeah.
Damn
Shut
well,
your dumb
exactly.
ass up.
Yeah.
Exactly, but it goes
Yeah.
back into their norm. So when I'm coming across some kids, it's like, yeah, you know, you have to acknowledge that judgment that you spoke about, because
Yeah.
I have to put that in check all the time.
Yeah.
When I see these kids from Palis Verdes and all these other stuff coming up in here because their mom ain't get this or they just trying to get away from whatever, it's just like I have to put that judgment in check and understand, okay, they wouldn't even be able to survive in the world that I'm living in.
Yeah.
But I myself also wouldn't be able to survive within the world they living in.
Yeah.
Even though I feel as if their world is better than mine, I
Yeah.
still wouldn't be able to survive in a better world.
Yo,
bro.
That makes sense.
one of the hugest things and it's these concepts, but like in life, I'm so thankful that I'm from the hood.
Oh yeah.
Because I would not
Yeah.
want to be a rich kid, because their troubles are so different than mine. Even though I've seen like weed, cocaine, death, no food, going to jail, all that stuff. It's like I would rather that struggle from like the bottom having to come up than being at the top. And it's like you don't know where to go, so you're constantly going down. These like, and I'm not gonna say no names, but like the idea of people who get famous really young, and then them like doing crazy cocaine and doing crazy drugs and stuff.
Loki was
like,
talking about that earlier.
and I'm like, yo, like because it was so accessible, but it's like you had this kind of life so soon that it's like you weren't even prepared for it. But it's like you're doing it. I saw it being dealt to people who could barely even afford it, really, and it was a whole different experience. But I came from like the ground bottom up, so it's like now like stuff that bothers people, actors in LA. I'm like, I can still keep on going because I'm like, all right, it ain't really that big, but it's just like that idea of like that life looks so great. But I'm good being Patrick Walker instead of Kendall Jenner. Is that her name? Kendall Jenner?
You right.
Kendall, yeah.
You right. And I said
What
the
happened
same
with
thing.
Kendall?
No, I'm just saying I would rather be.
I would rather be born.
I love my life.
It's like,
I
what
love,
happened?
yeah, I love my life.
I would
yeah.
rather
Respect.
be born with all of this shit and look at all
With
of the
money.
things I could accomplish
Yeah.
instead of being born with all of this stuff. I have to look at everywhere my life could possibly go.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
crazy.
You know.
Where you going by that? Like, I mean, if you're born and you are there from the top, I'm like, what do you have to look up to? Like, where's the challenges? Like, if like Leonardo DiCaprio is my dad and I want to be like, where's the challenge? I'm just gonna fall into this thing. I don't have as much of that. Like, I'm in a grind right now. I'm in the 8-9 year grind of being an actor who act every day, all day. That's it. And I'm like just trying to catch something. I'm on TV. Thank God, I'm doing great work. But I'm like, I'm just trying to catch it. But if it was given, it wouldn't be as sweet. It's like that call when that lead comes, or that call when the series regular coming, I'm gonna break down on the floor and call. My mom will be like, "Yo, we out of here, baby." Like the moments are different.
Because it's always something you could reach up to.
Yeah.
But the second our ego decides to be like, this is it, we're good. That's the second you're gonna fall. Right. So that ego, I don't really believe that ego was always hungry. I believe your spirit is hungry because your spirit knows where you're supposed to go. Yeah. But that ego is just trying to align with what society is telling you what you're supposed to be. Right? So when you're the Kendall Jenner, you're not looking up to anything. You're just looking back at what it could possibly be.
Right.
I don't work hard. But that all goes back into perspective. Because you could be in, like, what's dude's name? Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
He got everything given to him, but he's still hungry.
Yeah, I love Jaden Smith.
I love Jaden Smith.
Still
I love Jaden Smith.
Even though my life ain't gonna be, even though I could just sit around and not do nothing, my life is gonna be fine. Right? I understand that my perspective isn't that I'm perfect. My perspective is I can get so much more from this.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's all in your perspective.
I'm glad you said that. I love
how
Jaden
you're
Smith.
looking at that.
Yeah.
Even his art is just the like what he experiences. To even hear it and go, okay, like that's what you're experiencing. It's not what I experience right now, but like even the idea of like being a celebrity child and like the heartbreak that he goes through, even in like his last album, it's such a unique concept. Yeah, Sire.
First of all, Blue. That I don't see how that 13 minutes didn't win something.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that was phenomenal.
That should have won something.
That was phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Well, this ain't my bad. This ain't a hip hop station.
Oh, yeah.
I'm about to take it all the way low. I swear.
That's phenomenal. That's art.
Okay,
that's
okay.
real art.
So it's almost like I feel like we keep on talking about feeding, like the ego needs it, so the ego gets hungry. Like you said, I never even realized that the ego even had an appetite until you answered my question. Not that example is what I needed help with, but I genuinely didn't know, like how the ego even ticks. I think I know how it ticks, but it's not something that I ever have frequent conversations about. That's why I appreciate this show. Like, you gotta have these conversations. We didn't plan this. You just told us what the topic might be, and that was that. Like,
And we just go.
and we here talking. He wasn't even supposed to be on the
Tony
show. We
supposed to be
good.
here.
You know what I'm saying?
I was at the house going over an audition.
He was chilling.
Trailer Town, let's get it.
That's exactly how it
Trailer
is. That's
Town.
exactly
Pull up,
how
Pat.
it is, man. So,
Man,
shit, this shit was dope.
yeah.
This shit was really dope, man. Moving on to the next segment of the show, man. I always end it off with a question, but I don't write any of the questions down. All of the questions is given to me through the energy that I pick up from the show. So the one question that I picked up that kept popping up in my head is your ego even necessary?
Okay, give us 20 seconds to think.
With that cool music in the back.
Yeah.
I think it's necessary.
Why?
I mean, just
Why do you think it's necessary, and what situation would it be necessary in?
because of even the journey of us discussing it tonight, like acting as almost like a stabilizer in a lot of cases. Like I think that's exactly what we should use it as, like to balance things, like to work as a stabilizer. What did you say? You said stabilizer. You said
A recalibration.
Recalibration. Yeah. Like in a positive way. You said what situation? I feel like in like even that like sometimes like when you are like, well, actually my demonstration from earlier, like being somebody who doesn't feel confident about themselves in a certain state in whatever I'm doing, like that boost of this level of confidence or like this side can bring me up to then, I have to balance myself, so
Yeah.
I think if without that, I mean, I don't know what we would be if we didn't have it.
I feel like the ego is absolutely necessary. And here's why, right?
Okay.
When something is placed on your heart, your ego reassures you that you can do it. Your consciousness should help you figure out how, but
Yeah.
your ego lets you know you can do it. If I wake up with an idea like, I'm going to change the world. There's 8 billion people on this planet. That's a lot of people. Why do you feel like you can? Well, you feel like you can because your ego told you so. And ego is not always this bad, big bag, ornery, oh no, you got a big ego. There's nothing wrong with having a big ego as long as you keep it in check. And because we are black men, because the topic is black man's ego, it's almost as if the minds, you have your own show. We here for you. And these people listening and commenting, I've been watching this thing go up all day. Like, they here because your ego convinced you that why not have a show and talk about what you do? You a therapist, why not? Why not have these conversations more frequently? It's the same thing that gets Pat up in the morning. It's the same thing that brought me up here. I felt like maybe I'd say something that maybe somebody may want to hear. It's the ego. We have Martin Luther King, Barack Obama, any political figure that has done good for the world has always had their ego in check. Denzel Washington.
Like he got on his shirt.
Denzel Washington. But if you keep that ego in check, you do anything your mind. Anything your mind
that's
needs.
the biggest thing, right?
That's
the
the
ego
biggest
is
one.
necessary, but it's necessary only if you can keep that ego in check. Because if you allow the ego to just run wild, you finna be assed out in a bunch of different situations. So the ego is absolutely necessary. But more than that, understanding how the ego could work with your spirit, I believe will make you impeccable.
There's that.
So many different
Big
ways.
facts.
Yeah.
You know when, okay, this is how I properly need to utilize my spirit. This is how I need to properly utilize my ego.
Right.
This is why being knowledgeable and acknowledging that ego, when it is important, when it is there, and how your ego is. Is your ego aligned with society, or is your ego aligned with who you are? Right? So then we could be able to understand where we need to go and how we're going to make things work.
That's why I asked the question. Is it aligned with ego, your society? Like, you be feeling like you're supposed to be doing something just because you can, and it's so distracting. Your ego can be loud.
It can be loud as shit, but
Keep it in check.
keep it in check. At the end of the day, keep it in check, man. Thank you to everyone that's tuning in. Thank you to those individuals who tuned in halfway through the show. Thank you to those individuals that'll be listening tomorrow, the day after, whenever. And shouts out to all those individuals who ain't gonna be listening at all. You ain't caught on yet, but you will catch on eventually.
Amen.
Terrell,
Yeah,
good looking brother.
my brother.
Pat,
Hey, man.
my man. Thank you for coming in. I know
Appreciate
it was
y'all,
short
man.
notice, but
Hey,
you
man, I
rocked the damn
appreciate y'all,
thing
man.
like we planned it.
I learned a
Big
lot,
dog.
man. I learned so much.
For real,
I'm a
for
regular
real.
guest on this joint.
Hey,
At this
come
point, this is the
anytime-
multiples.
And you already know, anytime you in LA, you already here. You out here, right?
live here, man. I live around the street, man.
Oh well, we gonna connect. And you can come back. Oh,
Yeah.
we good.
Now, Pat
We
can't
good.
be on the show more than I have been.
Pat, this is your 8th show, Patrick. This is your 8th show, man. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm
Trill's
gonna come
a
back
guest
in
here.
April, and I'm gonna be like, "Yo, why he got a picture?"
My picture gonna be on the wall 8 times.
The Willis Cooks and Patrick Walker show.
As always.
I'm at my own intro. Hey, if you're not listening, you're gonna start listening because tune in
Yeah.
to the Willis and Patrick show.
There you go, man. Plug everything I got going on right now, real briefly before we wrap
Go ahead,
up.
Pat. It's your,
Patrick.
that know me. You go ahead.
Man, plug yourself. Tune into The Resident every week on Fox.
Yeah.
Monday night, 8 p.m.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Power Season 6
Coming soon.
coming super soon. That's a dope show.
Yeah.
Grey's Anatomy, I'm gonna be on there in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That's gonna be dope.
He doing things.
And I'm doing 2 movies in April. So yeah, man. I'm doing everything's pretty dramatic, but comedy. I'm doing comedy in April on
But
2 films.
How can
so
they
it's dope.
find you?
How can you find me on Instagram at the Patrick Walker? And
I'm a good friend.
People do Facebook, I guess too.
I mean,
Patrick
if
Walker.
you want to accept them,
Yeah, man. Hey,
I'm
follow
on
me.
Facebook.
Follow me. Write me, and I'll pray for you.
that was the prayer. Nah, all right. So, look, the only thing, look, Terrell, man. If you know how to spell it, you can find me is at TERAYLE _, on everything. That boy just got that blue check. You can find me. You type in half the words.
Man, I need to get my little blue jig.
Nah, yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Only
It's
no
coming.
Fox.
It's coming. It's coming. It's
Only
coming.
no
Only thing I got going on right now is Step Up High Water Season 2 coming out March 20th. There's a film on BET coming out very soon. A film on TV1 coming out very soon. And
You
hopefully,
can't say the names.
I can't, not
Okay,
yet.
bet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But hopefully in 2020, I have a reason to move back to LA. I'll just say that.
Ain't no hopefully, dog. Ain't no hopefully.
That-
dog.
Y'all will find out what's going on in a minute. I'll say that. They're going to drop that
yeah.
article pretty
Man.
soon.
So thank you, Terrell.
Hey,
Thank
always.
you, Pat.
Appreciate you,
As always, remember, ain't no wealth without your mental health. So please stay blessed and take care of yourself. Be great, y'all.
Bars!
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
That was Liddy.
Yeah. Yo.